Part 10. My Retirement Life in Neon. Author, Wu Nangkuang Song. Chapter 91. Sarada Koichi initially guessed that this was a case caused by a dispute over family property. But this person named Haraguchi Shigeru. Sarada Koichi looked at Haraguchi Shigeru's information. This matter came to him, so he would naturally collect all the information about it, and the supernatural events mentioned by Haraguchi Shigeru on the internet soon came to his hands. It seems that this matter really has that kind of thing, but it's also true that if there is no such thing, he would not be sent here. The first destination of Sarada Koichi was to seal off the scene and dismiss the crew and the police. For this reason, the police argued with him, questioning whether he was investigating the case, and told him that this was probably a murder case involving 4 lives. But Sarada Koichi still let them leave, using the documents in his hand. He really didn't care whether this was a murder case. He had seen too many people die because of supernatural events. 3 or 4 was not a serious matter at all. He was really not investigating the case. His task was just to protect the scene and prevent the incident from spreading, and wait for those real big shots to come. The others left, but Haraguchi Shigeru was left behind. Sarada Koichi was asking her about what happened just now and her experience on the internet. Haraguchi Shigeru had to tell the story again. She said that she was looking for clues while everyone was acting. When Sarada Koichi asked why she wanted to investigate this matter, Haraguchi Shigeru spoke according to the script. Someone asked me to investigate. Who? Sarada Koichi seemed very interested. The owner of the house. Oh, isn't the owner dead? I know, but since I went back that day, I often dream of some strange pictures, and I also dream that the owner asked me to save him, and I often feel that someone is watching me, so I think the owner must want me to investigate this matter. So who do you think did this? That person. Haraguchi Shigeru pointed to the owner's son who was rescued by the police. After asking for a while, Sarada Koichi asked someone to send Haraguchi Shigeru back. He looked at Haraguchi Shigeru with interest. He knew that she was haunted by a ghost. But the focus is not on her, but on the owner's son. Sarada Tsuyoshi was stationed at the old house until an old man came with a young man. Lindsay Ian went to bed after the screen went black last night. He knew that there would be no problems there in a while. As for Haraguchi Shigeru, Lindsay Ian asked her to wait for a while. It was not until noon that Lindsay Ian felt that the seal of Bingxian in the old house was touched, which meant that the official people found Bingxian. Everything will end tonight. Now Lindsay Ian's main task is to go to class. After returning home from school, Lindsay Ian called Haraguchi Shigeru. Hey, this is the fame and fortune I promised you. Lindsay Ian handed her a file bag. Haraguchi Shigeru took it, opened the file bag with a little suspicion, and asked Lindsay Ian in surprise after a brief look. Is this true? Am I so powerful? Also, did those 2 people really die like this? Of course it's fake. Then, what do you know? Drama is not nonsense, adaptation is not random editing, this is called artistic processing. Lindsay Ian leaned back on the sofa with a tactic. Lindsay Ian gave her a novel with her as the protagonist, which mainly tells the story. However, Lindsay Ian processed it and made her into a smart, courageous, and careful person. She was involved in a case in order to investigate the death of her colleague, and finally solved all the cases one by one. Anyway, just take this and publish it, and the money will come naturally. Lindsay Ian said casually. Also, don't come to me after this incident, I don't want anyone to know me from your mouth. What do you mean? Literally, don't bother me, I'm not interested in your shit. You. Let's go, I have solved this matter for you, are you still dissatisfied? Lindsay Ian reminded her. The comfortable life in recent days made her forget some things. After Lindsay Ian's reminder, Yuenko Fan remembered Lindsay Ian's methods. He immediately took the file bag and left silently. Why does it feel like some kind of transaction? Seeing Yuanko Fan close the door, Lin Zian muttered to himself. No matter, this matter should come to an end anyway. After tutoring Odarena, Lin Zian did not take a bath and sleep as usual, but left home and took Xiaobai outside. Lin Zian stopped in a remote small park, holding Xiaobai and sitting on a bench, as if waiting for something. After about 10 minutes, a red cloud floated from the sky and showed its true form in front of Lin Zian. The one who came was Bing Xian. Lin Zian collected it and took it home. Now he can see what happened over there. But he couldn't even deal with a Bing Xian who was crippled by him, so there was nothing good to watch. Since the last battle with Hyakimaru, Jinshin Masi not only received the reward from the shrine, but also got the qualification for the shrine to be stationed in Tokyo. Although there are many people in Tokyo and he can't get a number, this means that his level is different and there is a way to rise. His age doesn't mean that he has no idea of climbing up. He also has a son, even if he leaves some capital for his descendants. So as soon as Jinshin Zhengjiang received the call for help, he rushed over. Originally he came alone, but Shen Ziyai also wanted to come after hearing about it, so Jinshin Zhengjiang had no choice but to go back to pick up Shen Ziyai halfway. When he and Shenzi arrived here, it was already midnight. Although Nishiki Yamamasi was not very powerful, he was also an old man, otherwise he would not have been sent to take care of Shenzi, actually a senior servant. He knew that the strength of ghosts would be suppressed during the day, so he asked Shenzi to sleep in Goiki Sarada's car first, while he went to prepare props. He set up a barrier around the old house, but with his strength, it was very reluctant to set up such a large range of barriers. He said it was to prevent the situation from spreading, but it was useless. In fact, it was just for psychological comfort. And it's better to have something than nothing. What if it works? According to past experience and the information given by Goiki Sarada, Nishiki Yamamasi deduced that this was just a newly born ghost, which could be used to feed his Shikigami and let him get through the weak period. Otherwise, he would not be so active and would not bring Shenzi here. He brought Shenzi here to broaden his horizons. What if the enemy was too strong and Shenzi made a mistake? He would be completely finished as a nanny. Goddess, it's time for us to go in. Jinshin Masi woke up. Goddess. Can we finally start? Goddess was very excited. Although he was called Goddess and grew up in a shrine, he was forbidden to touch these things directly. He was told to keep his purity and wait until he was 16 before he could touch these things. Goddess was cultivated by the shrine. There are many shrines in Japan, but not all shrines have the ability to cultivate goddesses. Only some powerful shrines can cultivate them. Each shrine has only one goddess, but there are many reserve goddesses in each shrine, and he is the goddess of this generation who was selected from them. Goddesses have no names. They grew up in the shrine since childhood. People in the shrine call them goddesses. Over time, their names are called goddesses. They have been receiving education in the shrine. Their daily tasks are to learn about ghosts and gods and sit in meditation. Until they are 16 years old, they will leave the shrine and be assigned to various parts of the country. He just came out of Hegang Hakimangu shrine some time ago. Nishiki Yamamasi was the attendant assigned to him by the shrine, responsible for his daily life and diet, teaching him common sense, and bringing him into contact with ghosts and gods. After all, he was asked to come here because the previous generation of Maiko stationed in Tokyo died. Unfortunately, Hyakimaru was the sword of that Maiko, and it was because Maiko suddenly died that Lin Zian rushed in the rainy night. Nishiki Yamamasi brought Maiko out of the car, and Sarada Goiki glanced at Maiko obscurely, and his originally stiff face had more expressions. Maiko was a 16-year-old boy with a handsome face and lively eyes. His long hair was not tied up, but draped behind him, and he was wearing an ordinary casual outfit. Maiko, let's go in. Nishiki Yamamasi opened the door. With his height, he had to bend down slightly to enter through the door. My Retirement Life in Neon. Author, Wu Nang Kuang Song. Chapter 92. When they reached the basement, Shenzi took over Jinshan Zhenjiang's lead, skipped the two corpses, and took Ru Lushan directly to a deeper basement, which was where Bingxian was sealed. This. Jinshan Zhenjiang's face was full of bitter smiles. He just knew there was such a place, and Shenzi must have known it, otherwise he would not have asked him to call people over. That is, Shenzi simply ignored him and did not regard him as a trusted person, but that was right, he was originally a servant. This made him recognize his position. Fortunately, you didn't move it? This seems to be a seal with a bit of history. Ru Lushan came to a conclusion after checking the seal, but he didn't look too worried. Seals with a bit of history like this are generally not in great danger, because after a long time, most of the sealed objects have disappeared or been weakened, and Ru Lushan is very confident in his own strength. In fact, Lin Xian had this question when he first saw Bingxian. With the means of the second generation, Bingxian should be able to completely seal off the outside world, but Bingxian can observe the outside world and even absorb energy from the outside world. Although it is very little, this also caused Bingxian to not become weaker after so many years, but strengthened. Lin Xian carefully checked the seal, but those loopholes seemed to be left specially, which means that the second generation did not want it to die, or did not want it to die so easily. And he left the mountain god as a backup. But things are unpredictable. I didn't expect Bingxian to resist the yin qi devouring body and turn the yin qi into his own use. If Lin Xian hadn't appeared, Bingxian would have been the protagonist, but he provoked Lin Xian. Son of God, you come to unlock this seal. Ru Lushan estimated the time of the seal. It has been hundreds of years, and the general ghosts have long been gone. He just saw that the seal is not difficult, so the thing sealed inside should not be too powerful. Even if something really breaks out, he is sure to catch it. It just so happens that Shenzi doesn't have a Shikigami yet, so as an elder, he naturally has to help him, otherwise how can he live up to the title of grandfather? Let Shenzi go forward. To crack it is to declare ownership, and it is also a small test for Shenzi. Okay, Grandpa. Although Shenzi has rich theoretical knowledge, he is still a little nervous to let him do it, especially in front of Arya Shekha. Fortunately, this seal is really simple, he got the hang of it quickly, and Arya Shekha was very satisfied with his progress. When Lin Xian reset the seal, he was afraid that they couldn't solve it, so he simplified the original version. If the original seal is a university question, this one is a primary school question now. If they can't even solve this, it's useless. When Lin Xian demolishes Tokyo, they dare not say a word. Fortunately, they did not disappoint Lin Xian. Even if they wasted a little time, they finally solved the seal. With a loud bang, the stone that Lin Xian left to replace the mountain god exploded, and stones flew. Fortunately, Ru Lushan was well prepared. With a single wave of his hand, a white light blocked the stone outside. Jinshan Zhenjiang also saw the difference in strength. He didn't even have time to react in this situation. In fact, according to Lin Xian's idea, Shenzi's method was problematic. If he first let out the energy left by Lin Xian in the stone instead of cracking it directly, there would be no explosion. Of course, this is just a small suggestion and does not affect the result. Is Shenzi okay? Jinshan Zhenjiang's concern came. It's okay. Shenzi looked down at his clothes, and there was not even a speck of dust. The first seal was unlocked, and Lin Xian naturally felt it, which was at noon. Shenzi was about to crack the seal on the blue stone, but heard Ru Lushan's call. He turned around and felt the heat behind him, and then the whole person flew up. Fortunately, Ru Lushan was still reliable and caught Shenzi. When Shenzi came to his senses, he was already on Jinshan Zhenjiang's back. And the thing that caused him to be like this was the Bingxian in the center of the secret room. Seeing that they were so slow, Lin Zian might have to wait 2 days if he waited for them to slowly solve the problem, so he simply let Bing Xian come out by himself. Ah, are you Lushan screamed, and a wolf like Shikigami was summoned by him. Bing Xian's move just now was a slap in his face. He was so confident just now, and he looked like he had everything under control, but how could he be slapped in the face in the blink of an eye? Don't surrender. Otherwise, I will destroy you. Who is this grandson who disturbed my sleep? Bing Xian was not polite. He was indeed old enough to be Ru Lushan's grandfather. Monster, I must make it worse than death. Ru Lushan would naturally not let Bing Xian go easily, and the wolf quickly rushed up. Soon the two fought together, and Ru Lushan was not idle either, wanting to set up a barrier around him. He saw that his Shikigami was not a match for Bing Xian, so he naturally had to make plans early, and the Onmyoji had more than just Shikigami. Bing Xian had worked with Yin Yang Master before, so how could he not know what Ru Lushan wanted to do? He turned around and sprayed fire to stop the wolf, then turned around and ran away. Lin Zian left him the task of running away, because there was no benefit if he won, and he would lose if he lost. Ru Lushan saw that Bing Xian wanted to escape, so he didn't care about anything else. He took an arrow from the young man, tore off the talisman paper on the arrowhead, and threw it at Bing Xian. Bing Xian saw this and hurriedly sped up. He knew this thing. He had seen Yin Yang Master use it, and he even knew how to make it. The famous demon-breaking arrow was used to kill big monsters in the past. It was equivalent to RPG at that time. It naturally couldn't stand it. If it was touched, it would either be injured or killed. Maybe this demon-breaking arrow is a fake, or it may be improperly kept when it was passed down, and it was damp. It didn't have the power it saw back then, but it was soft, but it still didn't dare to touch it. In the end, Bing Xian still sank into the wall and escaped. After Bing Xian left, the young man pulled up the arrow on the wall and put it back. Although this kind of thing is only disposable, it still needs to be recycled. Let's go. Irya Shikashin put away his Shikigami and said to them. Although he didn't catch Bing Xian, he was hit in the face by it, and he also lost a demon-breaking arrow, but Irya Shikashin could still accept it, as long as the Son of God is fine. As for Bing Xian, naturally someone will go to find it. It will regret provoking a shrine, especially a powerful shrine. He won't know if he regrets Bing Xian, because Bing Xian is dead. Lin Zian waited for Xiaobai for so long. It seems that the level of practitioners in Neon is very average. Lin Zian played with Bing Xian in his hand, but it can no longer be called Bing Xian. It is now an important prop for Xiaobai to awaken his spirit. After waiting for so long, it's finally here. Lin Zian walked slowly into the basement. Since the last time, Xiaobai has been very resistant to entering the basement. Every time, Lin Zian has to catch it before bringing it in. Lin Zian has been preparing for Xiaobai's awakening spirit for a long time. Everything is ready, and now Dongfeng has got it again. It must be said that the one trained with Bing Xian is much better than ordinary people. The soul of the beast is too small and too fragile, so it is difficult to have thoughts, so you have to help it create a soul, inject it into its body, and then slowly let the new soul merge with the original soul. As a material, Bing Xian is perfect. Not only can it carry more knowledge, but it also has a chance to let Xiaobai escape from the mortal body. That's why Lin Zian didn't use the dirty copper and iron that Chihiro brought back. Shigeki Chihiro has been contaminated by Ikebe Misaki's memory once because of his mistake. Lin Zian lifted up Xiaobai, and the man and the cat faced each other. Do you believe me? Meow. Xiaobai was still the same, stupid, which reminded him of the night when it first came. It was also like this, without any defense against him, and it inherited the green eyes from its mother, as if it could see through the illusion and hit the soul directly. Then I'll start. Lin Zian looked directly into Xiaobai's eyes, and soon, Xiaobai fell asleep. Lin Zian put Xiaobai on the table first, and he was going to deal with Bingxian now. It was miserable. Bingxian was controlled by him to test the practitioners of Neon, and he was dealt with after the job was done. It's like the big brother lets the little brother go undercover, and after the job is done, he comes back and gets killed by the big brother, who also wants your body to feed his pet. One word. Miserable. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My Retirement Life in Neon. Author, Wu Nangkuang Song. Chapter 93. However, despite his misery, Bingxian did too many bad things to fall into Lin Xian's hands. If he behaved himself, would he have another chance to meet Lin Xian? The answer is obvious. Now it's time for him to sacrifice himself. Lin Xian was very careful this time. After all, Bingxian had a history of being a traitor. What if he missed something and Xiaobai learned from him? He didn't want to be cheated, especially by someone he trusted. It's strange to say that people in this world have souls from birth, unlike in his previous life, when he had to cultivate to the later stage before he could come out. Moreover, what he cultivated was the primordial spirit, which was very different from the soul. Constructing a soul is not a simple matter, and it's not a human soul, but a cat soul. This is also a challenge for Lin Xian. He had to pull out Xiaobai's soul first, and then make another one based on it as the original after careful observation. Moreover, the final goal was to merge them together, so the two couldn't be different at all. For this reason, Lin Xian had to extract the essence of Bingxian first, and let Xiaobai digest it first, so that it could be contaminated with Bingxian's breath and facilitate fusion. The same is true for Bingxian's side, so that the raw materials can be obtained, so Xiaobai will be a little painful. But all these pains are worth it, this is the only chance in its life. Of course, this time it was Lin Xian who chose it. Lin Xian was busy for almost a night, and just lay in bed for a while before getting up to go to school. Lin Xian left Gyeongsun at home to help him watch Xiaobai's situation. Xiaobai will take some time to succeed. Of course, there is a certain chance of failure. Lin Xian spent a morning paddling, but he heard a piece of news. There is still a week before the monthly exam. This surprised Lin Xian. In China, monthly exams only start in the third year of high school. Why is there a monthly exam in the first year of high school in Japan? Lin Xian checked other schools and found that Aoyama Academy is a high school for college entrance examinations, which means that it is a high school with the main purpose of taking college entrance examinations. It can also be understood as a school with strict learning requirements. For example, Aoyama Academy stipulates that classes must be held on Saturday mornings, which many other schools do not have, let alone monthly exams. Lin Xian asked Gongzong Liwi, the monthly exam is a comprehensive test paper, each subject has a section, and the test content is the knowledge learned this month. Gongzong Liwi also complained that this kind of test paper is difficult to correct. However, these have nothing to do with him, but they have something to do with Odarina. Because the time she agreed with Lin Xian is almost up. Is 1 week enough for her transformation? It's time to talk to the principal and get a place for Odarina first, otherwise it will be embarrassing if it can't be taken out at that time. I also need to talk to Gongzong Maiho to see what the junior high school department of Aoyama Academy is like. What's more important is to get the consent of Yukino Takemi, otherwise these are all nonsense, but for Lin Xian, this is the simplest thing. He is sure that Yukino Takemi will give him this face, and even help him to arrange for Odarina to enroll directly. But this is not what he wants. It's really annoying. Just when I finished one thing, another one came. Why did my high school life become like this? Living more miserable than the senior high school students? Lin Xian suddenly remembered the words of an online friend. When I was in high school, I thought it would be easy when I went to college. When I was in college, I thought it would be easy when I went to society. When I went to society, I realized that I would not be easy until I died. Do I really not know what is easy? Do I not want to be easy? I dare not be easy. Lin Zian really laughed. Even he can't be easy, so how can that online friend want to be easy? This world is like the sea, and he is just a small fish in it. A net woven by relationships drags him around. Of course, some big fish drag the net. I'm afraid that only those who abandon everything can get real ease. I've strayed off topic. I don't know why I suddenly thought of these when I was writing. I realized after I finished writing that the relaxation here is not real relaxation, but I don't want to delete it. Just think of it as a word count. Lying on the grass, closing his eyes, listening to the sound of the river flowing, Lin Zian's mind was empty. He didn't want to think about anything. This person seemed to have lost his soul. He opened his eyes and looked at the sky. After a long time, he took out his mobile phone and called Shuye Wuhai. In the end, he still felt that he had to tell Shuye Wuhai. Zian. What's the matter? Uncle, long time no see. What's the matter? You wouldn't look for me if you had nothing to do. Look at what you said, you are the elder. Is it strange for me, a junior, to greet you? Haha. You, a junior, are much better than me, an elder. Uncle is in such a good mood, it must be because of GMA. By the way, in a few days. Shuye wanted to say something but finally became speechless. What's the matter? Nothing. Uncle, I want to arrange for someone to enter the junior high school of Qingshan Academy. Got it, do you want me to arrange it? No, I can go find the principal myself. The two exchanged a few more pleasantries and then hung up. Lin Zian threw his phone on the grass and closed his eyes again. I owed another favor. Although it was nothing to Yukino Takemi, Lin Zian still remembered it. Is it a loss to owe this debt for Oda Reina? During the meal, Lin Zian mentioned this matter to Oda mother and daughter, mainly to remind Oda Reina, the person involved. She doesn't have much time left. I will work hard. Oda Reina nodded vigorously. And Oda Michiko looked at her daughter worriedly. Don't be nervous. With your efforts these days, it's not difficult to pass the entrance exam of Aoyama Academy. Lin Zian has been following her learning progress, so he naturally knows what level she is at, and it's not difficult to pass the entrance exam. But what Lin Zian prepared for her was not the test paper for the junior high school entrance exam, but the knowledge of the first year of junior high school. Lin Zian did not relax the assessment standards, but increased the difficulty. In fact, the knowledge of the first year of junior high school is really not difficult. Just like an ordinary person, if you don't learn it, you will understand it when you see it at a certain age. That is to say, as long as you have no problem with your IQ, you will have no problem learning these. Not to mention Oda Reina, who has cheated before, although she didn't renew her subscription. Now Lin Zian's requirement for her is no longer new knowledge, but requires her to review. The knowledge of the first year of junior high school has been taught long ago. As for the second year of junior high school, she will learn it by herself. Another ordinary night passed, and Lin Zian sent Oda mother and daughter away and came to the basement. Xiaobai was sleeping in the small nest built by Lin Zian temporarily. His breathing was smooth and steady, and there was no abnormality. It's okay. The fusion did not produce any rejection phenomenon. Lin Zian nodded, took back his hand on Xiaobai, and then slowly exited the basement. Chihiro, help me keep an eye on Xiaobai tonight. Success or failure depends on tonight, Lin Zian ordered Shigeki Chihiro. He felt that the fusion was almost done, and Xiaobai would wake up tonight or tomorrow. Yes, Shigeki Chihiro took the order and re-entered the basement. And now I have to solve another problem. Lin Zian picked up his mobile phone and called Gongzong Liwi. Lin Zian sent her a lot of messages today, wanting her to help ask her sister Gongzong Maiho out, but the message fell on deaf ears and did not receive a reply, so he had to call. What's the matter? Gongzone Liwi's tone was not good, with a little temper. Didn't you see the message I sent you? Lin Ziyan didn't care. He knew who Gongzone Liwi was, and she had indeed skipped classes a lot these days. It was normal for her to be like this. I didn't see it. Didn't you see what I sent last time? Do you still remember? Stop playing and talk about business. Lin Ziyan didn't expect Gongzone Liwi to still remember that he didn't reply to her last time. Who is playing with you? Why do you want to ask my sister out? What's so good about my sister? Why do you all go to her? What can't you tell me? Why does it sound a bit strange to hear her words? Lin Ziyan thought about it and said with a smile, this matter really has nothing to do with you. Don't worry, you can ask your sister out for me. There are great benefits. What benefits? No. Is there something to ask her? Because of Reina's matter, she is about to go to school. It was not something shameful, so Lin Ziyan told her directly. Reina, Gongzone Liwi's voice suddenly lowered a lot, you don't want to go through my sister's back door, do you? My Retirement Life in Neon. Author, Wu Nangkuang Song. Chapter 94. Don't say such harsh words. What back door? I just want to know the situation of the junior high school of Qingshan Academy, and what is your sister's identity? Will it be useful to use her back door? Oh, I thought you were going to ask my sister for the answer, but she has to review the test paper. No need, I have already got the quota. This time I really just want to ask about the situation. You can also come with me when the time comes. Now just one sentence, help or not? I'll ask my sister, she promised to get back to you. Okay, then I'll hang up first, I haven't taken a shower yet. Lin Ziyan was about to hang up the phone. Gongzone Liwi was not willing to give up. Hey. Wait, what's my benefit? What do you want? 10 pounds of beef, the kind of beef I took that day. Gongzone Liwi's voice sounded very excited. No, at most 2 pounds, it's too troublesome to make braised beef, and eating too much of that kind of thing is not good for your health. 5 pounds, Gongzone Liwi still wanted to struggle. Do you know that you have gained weight recently? 2 kilograms is 2 kilograms. Lin Ziyan's words were like the whisper of the devil, which immediately defeated Gongzone Liwi's psychology. Gongzone Liwi, who hung up the phone, glanced at her sister who was working furtively, thinking about how to trick her out. And Gongzone Maiho didn't know that her sister sold her for 2 kilograms of braised beef. Lin Ziyan, who had just finished taking a shower, lay on the sofa and saw the message sent by Gongzone Liwi on his mobile phone. Although he didn't know how Gongzone Liwi got her sister, he had confirmed the time and place, and now he still needed the principal. Just go and talk to the principal tomorrow, he has no right to refuse. Then this matter is resolved. Although Odarina is a student, it doesn't matter. In other words, she can only follow the road he paved. So she will enter Aoyama Academy no matter how she does in the exam. Although I feel sorry for those who got in, this is the reality. Lin Ziyan has prepared everything, but Odarina doesn't know. Michiko Oda looked at Rina Oda, who had been absent-minded since she came back. She didn't know what to say. In fact, she was also very nervous. The result of her daughter's efforts in the past month was about to be revealed. Whether it was success or failure, her family would never be the same as before. How could she take out the tuition and sundry expenses for her daughter after success? How could she comfort her daughter after failure? Rina Oda recalled every detail of this month. Since Lin Ziyan broke into her life, she had a brother. Her life changed too much. She used her mobile phone to contact the world that had been isolated for a long time. She got a rare opportunity. Could she seize it? To be honest, Rina Oda was not sure. She was just an ordinary student, and her grades were even more so. Although she had been tutoring for a month, she didn't know what level she was without comparison. Now Lin Zion asked her to take the entrance examination for Aoyama Academy, and the psychological pressure was still great. But without seeing her mother's worried eyes, Oda Reina knew that she couldn't fail. She had to succeed, prove herself, and live up to him. For Oda and her daughter, tonight was destined to be a sleepless night. Lin Zion slept very comfortably, but there was nothing he could do. He was tired. After worrying all day, he almost treated this brother as his father. As usual, Lin Zion spent the day like a transparent person, but after school he did not go home immediately, but strolled around the campus until he came to the principal's office. Dong dong, two knocks on the door. Come in. A voice came from inside, and Lin Zion opened the door and went in directly, finding a seat for himself in front of the principal. Hello, principal. Hello, Shigeki-san. The chairman has already told me yesterday. I will make the arrangements. Don't worry, he is not a fool to be the principal. Shueya Wuhai took him to meet Lin Ziyan before. Shueya Wuhai's attitude at that time said it all. Moreover, Shueya Wuhai told him yesterday that Lin Ziyan should arrange for someone to enroll. If it was just an ordinary transfer student, he might not find him as the principal, let alone the chairman. Even if he found the chairman, he would at most tell the secretary to notify him, instead of calling him in person. The chairman said to try his best to meet his requirements and he could go to him when he had difficulties. This sentence came out of Shueya Wuhai's mouth, and he, as the principal, naturally took it seriously. Since the uncle has already said it, I won't say it again. It shouldn't be difficult for the principal to arrange a transfer student to the second grade of the junior high school. Not difficult, not difficult. I will arrange the admission procedures immediately, and he can come to school tomorrow. Oda Kota didn't dare to neglect it, and quickly agreed. Moreover, it was indeed a trivial matter for him to arrange for a transfer student to enroll. Of course I trust Principal Oda, but I have a small request. Lin Ziyan looked at Oda Kota with a smile on his face. Request? Oda Kota looked at Lin Ziyan's smile and couldn't help but feel a headache. He knew that these rich people had many tricks, but he still asked Lin Ziyan carefully. I wonder what Shigeki-san's request is. Principal Oda, don't be too nervous. My request is very simple. I want her to be admitted to Aoyama Academy. Admit? Oda Kota thought about what he meant by this, and it took a while before he suddenly realized it. Some people have poor grades and have to transfer to another school to avoid repeating a grade. In order to have a good-looking profile, they usually falsify their academic qualifications. For example, if a person's test scores in another school are too ugly, his parents will help him transfer to another school, directly falsify the data in the new school, and treat him as a student of this school. The data will naturally be cleared. This kind of behavior is usually caused by parents colluding with the school to cheat in order to look good. Moreover, such students will not be admitted to college, so the school doesn't care, and they get an extra sponsorship fee for nothing, so why not do it? It's not like there is no such thing in Aoyama Academy, it's just that most people don't know about it. Don't worry, we will handle it well, and no one will know. Oda Kota felt that he understood what Lin Ziyan meant. I wonder if the other school has solved it. What are you talking about? Isn't it? Oda Kota explained it to Lin Ziyan, and assured him that it would be handled well. What I mean is that I want to organize an exam. Lin Ziyan smiled bitterly after hearing this. Damn it! Where can I find a test for you? If I, the principal, don't do my job anymore, you can do your job. When he saw Oda Kota's bitter face, Lin Ziyan added, I won't embarrass the school. You can just lend me a classroom and arrange a teacher for me, and I will arrange the rest. Hearing this, Oda Kota finally understood that Lin Ziyan was preparing for a solo exam. He didn't understand why these rich people were doing this. They could enroll directly, but they had to take the entrance exam to embarrass themselves. But he doesn't have the ability to comment, And he's not stupid. It's easy to arrange a classroom with one teacher, so there's no need to cause trouble for yourself. Linzian and Oda Kota decided on a time and place. It would be next Saturday, in any empty classroom. That's right. Teacher, I want to. The conversation between the two people was completed perfectly. Oda Kota couldn't raise his head in front of Linzian. After all, he was just hired by Tekkai Yukino to manage the school. For capitalists, if it is not useful, just change him. As for why he didn't do this to Miyazunri? First of all, Oda Kota knows how powerful Linzian is, and Yukino Tekkai letting him come to Aoyama Academy will definitely give Oda Kota some reminder or information. Everyone is understanding, so there is no need to pretend. Linzian guessed that Miyazun Miho should also know something. After all, not everyone is as cute as Miyazunri. Of course, Linzian doesn't dislike Gongzonri's character. It's easier to get along with her than with someone with scheming intentions. This may be the reason for the wisdom halo. But Linzian still hates her a little. In fact, it's not really annoying, it's just annoying. Fortunately, she still has a sister who looks after her. Otherwise, it would be a miracle that she is okay as she grows up. My Retirement Life in Neon. Author, Wu Nangkuang Song. Chapter 95. Because of the delay today, Linzian did not go to the riverside, but went home directly. As soon as Linzian got home, he went down to the basement to check on Ziobai. There was nothing abnormal, but he hadn't woken up yet. It was a bit troublesome. Not waking up was a problem. Ziobai was not like him. He had no problem not eating or drinking for several days. Now it has been 2 days. If he still didn't wake up tomorrow morning, Linzian would have to intervene manually. As soon as he exited the basement, his mobile phone rang. It was not a call, but a message reminder from the chat software. Linzian took a look and saw that it was a message from Odarena just sent to him, but there was no signal in the basement, so he received it now. Click on Odarena's chat box. Can I go to my brother's place? Linzian thought about it and guessed that she wanted to come over to seize the time to study and ask him questions. Seeing that there was nothing to do, Linzian agreed to her. Not long after, there was a knock on the door. Reina. Why did you come so early today? Linzian opened the door and said casually. But Odarena's condition was a little wrong. What's wrong? Linzian looked at Odarena who was bowing her head. But she didn't answer him. Soon, bean-sized tears fell on the ground, blooming into tears, and faint sobs came from Odarena. Why did she cry? This was Linzian's headache. Okay, come in first, tell me if you have anything to say. Linzian didn't care about it anymore, and pulled Odarena home and closed the door. From the moment the door was closed, she seemed to be unable to hold back and cried loudly. Seeing her like this, Linzian knew that she was under too much pressure and needed to vent. Linzian dragged her hand, took her to the living room, and asked her to sit down. Cry, cry until you want to stop. Linzian handed the tissue to her, and then ignored her, letting her cry alone. Listening to her crying, Linzian couldn't help but feel lucky that there were no people around, otherwise he would have called the police to catch him. Crying is actually a very effective way to relieve stress, but it is not good to be excessive. Although it is ridiculous, some people really die from crying. After crying for more than 10 minutes, Odarena slowly calmed down. After waiting for a while, until she stabilized, Linzian asked her. However, Linzian did not encourage her or comfort her, but threw a few questions in a row. Are you scared? Do you not believe in yourself? Or do you not believe in me? Are you worthy of everything your mother has done for you? Do you know how long I have been busy for this opportunity for you? Do you want to admit defeat to your friend? You want. Before Linzian finished speaking, Odarina started crying again, this time crying heartbreakingly. But it came quickly and went quickly. She soon calmed down again, raised her little face full of tears and snot, and cried and shouted. I'm afraid. I'm afraid of losing everything. I'm afraid of waking up and going back to the past. I'm afraid that my mother will grow old and I won't be able to do anything. I'm afraid. It's right to be afraid. Lin Zion didn't continue to question her, as he would drive her crazy if he pressed her further. Instead, he wiped the tears from her face with a tissue, gently held her in his arms, and stroked her hair. Fear and terror are normal human emotions. Don't take it too seriously. Look at it correctly. The first step is to face it and acknowledge its existence. Lin Zion let her go, gently put his hands on her shoulders, and looked at her. Reina has done this. Think about it carefully, it's not that serious. You are not afraid of the exam, but yourself. To be more precise, you are afraid of your former self, the waste who only hides under the protection of your mother. Lin Zion paused, raised his hand to tidy up Odarina's messy hair, until it returned to normal. He continued, but you are not her now. You will take the initiative to contact the annoying outside world, you will study hard to seize the opportunity, you will consider your mother. You have changed, but you don't know it yourself. Really, really? Odarina asked timidly, a little unconvinced. Of course it's true. I've seen your efforts. Lin Zion completely let go of Odarina and sat back in his seat. Didn't you ask me why I was so good to you and your daughter? Why? Odarina's attention shifted immediately. Besides the fact that you look alike to my sister, it was also for that breakfast. Lin Zion gave an unbelievable reason. I thought Uni-chan was attracted to my mother. Odarina didn't believe it either. This reason is indeed difficult for modern people to accept. What are you talking about? Lin Zion smiled bitterly, pondered for a while, and then continued, you don't know my state at that time. Lin Zion didn't lie this time. His state at that time was indeed very bad. His inner self was almost exhausted, and his appearance at that time was not good looking, even not much better than a beggar. Oda Michiko was able to lend a helping hand at that time. No matter what her purpose was, Lin Zion would remember her help this time, even if it was useless. After these days of contact, Lin Zion believed that Michiko Oda's reason that day was most likely out of sympathy, and she probably didn't believe that she was a rich person at the time. More importantly, the burden of a breakfast on the Oda family is different from that on ordinary families. A person has 2 bags, and he gives you 1 bag and he only has 1 bag and gives you half of it. Ordinary families have more than 2 bags, and the Oda family may not even have half of one. She said it was extra, but that breakfast was probably Oda Michiko's own, so that breakfast meant something different to Lin Zion. Lin Zion is an old antique, and there are not many things that can touch him, but this incident is one of them, and the ordinary is extraordinary. A drop of water should be repaid with a spring. So Lin Zion will find ways to help their family after he settles down. Although he doesn't like to be a good person, he can't let kindness and beauty disappear in his eyes. And Oda Michiko's personality is very likable to him, but Lin Zion has never had any improper thoughts about Oda mother and daughter, he has long passed that age. But there is a limit to repaying a favor. If Odarina had chosen to go directly to Aoyama Academy, he would have let her in directly, and that would have been the end of it. But it turned out to be a farce. Lin Zion also wanted to test whether Odarina really wanted to study, so he set a test, but he didn't expect to get himself into trouble. But as he said, Odarina deserved his preparation, and he saw her efforts this month, otherwise he wouldn't have worked so hard to do all this for her. It can only be said that God helps those who help themselves. Okay, go back first if you have nothing to do, otherwise your mother will come back and chop me with a knife when she doesn't see you. Didn't we agree not to mention it? And I sold myself to you. Odarina looked embarrassed, her 2 little hands twisted together. Hey hey hey. Human trafficking is a capital crime, don't try to trick me, kid. Seeing that she was much better, Lin Zion also joked with her. Then, Ani-chan, carry me back. Oda Reina got up from the sofa and rushed into Lin Zion's arms with a brutal collision. Hey, Lin Zion quickly suppressed the desire to fight back, skillfully unloaded the force with both hands, and gently caught her. Scared, really scared, if he didn't control himself, the instinctive reaction of the muscles alone could cause her concussion. Don't do this next time, it's very dangerous. Lin Zion looked at Oda Reina in his arms and said helplessly. Well, Oda Reina didn't hear his words at all, immersed in peace. Seeing this, Lin Zion had to carry her over. But after arriving at the place, Oda Reina still didn't let go. Reina, we're home, let me go. Ani-chan, let me hold you again. No, Lin Zion now always felt that Oda Michiko was watching him somewhere. Just 10 minutes, let me hold you again. Oda Reina hugged him tighter, as if she was afraid that Lin Zion would leave. Who is Lin Zion? How could he be trapped by Oda Reina? He broke free with a slight shake, and then slipped away under Oda Reina's disgusted expression. He also didn't understand why Oda Reina had such an expression. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My Retirement Life in Neon. Author, Wu Nangkuang Song. Chapter 96. In fact, Lin Zion is not good at comforting others, because he has survived it all alone, and his heart is extremely hard, and it can even be said that there is no flaw. For him, pressure has always been motivation, so he does not understand today why does Reina Oda feel like this. However, sometimes he found emotions to be very interesting. In his previous life, he joined the immortal sect and devoted himself to the Tao. This led him to forget emotions during the long process of cultivation and did not know what emotions were until he was born in this world and experienced it again. Mood. As he learned more, he realized that human life is filled with various emotions. As the saying goes, life is full of joys, sweets, bitters, spicy and salty. Experiencing these emotions has become a small task for him, so sometimes he will deliberately exaggerate his emotions to act like a normal person, and even simulate the emotions of ordinary people according to the situation until he really integrates into the world. He never wanted to hide his emotions. He was happy when he was happy, so why should he hold it back? This world does not require fighting and killing. Sometimes, if you are too calm, you will not be able to appreciate the joy of life. Because of yesterday's incident, although Michiko Oda was worried, she didn't say anything. All she could do was stay with her daughter, so she rushed back as soon as she got off work. But when she got home today, she found something was wrong with Oda Reina. I saw Oda Reina brushing aside yesterday's sluggishness and becoming energetic, with a faint smile on her face. She was not nervous at all. Instead, a kind of confidence emanated from her, and even Oda Michiko was infected. But based on her understanding of Oda Reina, this situation made her worried, fearing that she was forcing this on herself. Why is Reina so happy today? Oda Michiko took the book away from Oda Reina and asked tentatively. It's nothing, I just figured out some things. This time has made my mother worried. Oda Reina stood up solemnly and bowed to Oda Michiko. Yes, it's my mother's incompetence that made Reina suffer with me. Hearing her daughter's words, Oda Michiko quickly supported her and held her in her arms, her eyes inadvertently filled with water. In the past, Oda Reina would not have said these words. She has always been a very introverted person. Even if she had such thoughts, she would not say them out loud. I will definitely pass the exam. I must pass the exam. Mom, I believe in you. Michiko Oda hugged her tighter, and the tears in her eyes could no longer be held back, falling on Reina Oda's shoulders. When Oda and her daughter went to Lin Zion's house, Lin Zion took a special look at the two of them. Not only was he 10 minutes later than usual, but his mental state also changed drastically. Lin Zion knew that something must have happened to them in the past 10 minutes, but it looked like a good thing, so he didn't ask any more questions. Okay, let's eat first. Lin Zion smiled and turned back to the kitchen. Let me help you. Michiko Oda also followed with a smile. After eating, Lin Zion took out a copy of the test paper he had taken from Miyazunri and gave it to Oda Reina. This is the test paper for Qingshan Academy's entrance exam 3 years ago. Your task today is to do this. Lin Zion felt that the time was almost up and it was time to take the mock exam. Yes, Oda Reina was full of confidence and naturally very impressive. After hearing this, Michiko Oda quickly finished her work. She originally wanted to follow Lin Zion's example and invigilate the exam, but she was afraid of affecting Oda Reina, so she had to sit in the kitchen and watch her from a distance. Although she believed in her daughter, she could not hide the worry on her face. Lin Zion also noticed her. It seemed that she was the only one present who didn't let go. The test papers were completed one by one, but Lin Zion did not explain it to Lin, but continued to take out the next one until after 9 o'clock. Normally, Lin Zion would have asked them to get together at this time, but not today. Oda Reina has not finished these papers yet. To be honest, Lin Zion was really in a dilemma for Oda Reina. There were 4 test papers in different subjects. A normal test would take 2 to 3 days, but he wanted Oda Reina to complete it in just 3 hours. It's just a daydream. And when Oda Reina made it to the 3rd piece, she couldn't do it anymore. It's not that she won't do it or won't do it, she is still insisting, but Lin Zion has seen that her current condition is no longer suitable for continuing. Okay, it's almost done. Lin Zion took away the half-finished test paper in front of her. No, I can still do it. Reina Oda dropped her pen in panic and stretched out her hands towards the test paper. Okay, that's enough. Lin Zion reached out and pressed her hand down, fixing her hand on the table. I'm not done yet. Even if he restrained her, Oda Reina didn't react at all. Her eyes were in a trance, as if she only had test papers in her eyes. It's almost time, you should go home. Lin Zion used a special method to wake her up. Ah, oh, Oda Reina looked at Lin Zion in a cute manner. Haha. It takes several days to complete these test papers. How many hours do you want to finish them? Lin Zion smiled at her and joked. Yes. Only then did Reina Oda wake up. She was attaching too much importance to this mock test and took it in without even realizing it. In fact, Lin Zion did this on purpose by Oda Reina. It's good to have confidence, but you can't be complacent. Young people need to be trained. Lin Zion checked the first test paper. At that time, Oda Reina was in a good state, with good completion and accuracy, but when it came to the second test paper, she began to get anxious. Lin Zion did not explain the test paper to her, but told her what problems she had when doing the test paper. As for the test paper explanation, Lin Zion directly gave her 3 test papers and asked her to go back and do them slowly. Isn't this going to be tested? Oda Michiko next to her didn't understand Lin Zion's approach and asked. She's not going to take these tests, so these test papers are for practice. I will give out the real mock exam separately. The test that Lin Zion wanted her to pass was not of that level. It should contain knowledge of the 1st or even 2nd grade of junior high school. Otherwise, why would Lin Zion ask her to catch up with those people? After sending Oda and her daughter away, Lin Zion immediately came to the basement. In fact, if he hadn't noticed that Xiaobai was about to wake up, he would have wanted to keep Oda Reina a while longer. After all, young people need more exercise, but forget it when something like this happened. Xiaobai, how do you feel? Lin Zion picked up Xiaobai and checked its condition. Meow, Xiaobai called out weakly, and it didn't want to move now. By the way, feed it something first. Lin Zion hurriedly took Xiaobai out, found the leftover milk powder, and made it first. After drinking a little milk powder, Xiaobai's condition did improve a little, but that was it, still lazy. Lin Zion took out another can of fish, which was also the last time he fooled Xiaobai, and there were still a few. After Xiaobai was full, Lin Zion excitedly checked its internal organs, but the effect was not very obvious this time. Xiaobai was still the same as before. What went wrong? Lin Zion did this for the first time, and he didn't know what was going on now. It's good that Xiaobai is okay. But, Lin Zion had a sly smile on his face, staring at Xiaobai. Xiaobai, who had just finished eating and was lying down to digest his food, also felt this malicious look, but was caught before he could escape. Meow meow meow. You need to take a shower today. Lin Zion took Xiaobai to the bathroom regardless of his struggle. Then it was a tragic story. After taking a shower, Lin Zion came out of the bathroom with Xiaobai in his arms. He never liked to use a hairdryer in the bathroom. It was too dangerous. He was struck to death by lightning in his last life. He didn't want to do it again this time, so he helped Xiaobai dry his hair outside. As for himself, he naturally didn't need to use a hairdryer. His hair was not long, unlike those anime protagonists with strange hair. Putting Xiaobai on the bed, Lin Zion warned it. If you make trouble again at night, I won't let you go to bed. Lin Zion said the sentence countless times, but Xiaobai used to ignore him, but this time it actually smiled at him. Very weird. Lin Zion looked at Xiaobai running around on the bed practicing flying. Although the scene just now seemed like a bubble and could not prove anything, he felt that this time it should be successful. My Retirement Life in Neon. Author, Wu Nangkuang Song. Chapter 97. Morning, bedroom. Today the sun is bright, sweeping away the haze of the past few days, and shining through the window onto the bed. Normally at this time, Lin Zion would have gotten up long ago, but today he stayed in bed. As for the reason, of course it was the energetic Xiaobai, who had slept for 2 days and looked sick, but immediately revived after eating and drinking, and made a fuss on Lin Zion's bed all night. Poor Lin Zion, he didn't sleep all night. A hand stretched out from the quilt, grabbed Xiaobai who was licking his face, and dragged it into the quilt. You are a cat, not a dog, why are you licking me? It hurts. Meow meow meow. How dare you say that? I haven't slept, so how can I not wake up? Meow meow meow. You are done, I won't let you get on the bed next time. Meow. It's useless to act cute, who told you to be so naughty, I have seen through you. Lin Zion got up after a fight with Xiaobai. If it was normal, he wouldn't even have time to make breakfast, but fortunately, Chihiro Shigeki was there, and she had already prepared it for him. Chihiro is still the best, she is obedient and capable. Lin Zion ate breakfast and said to Chihiro Shigeki next to him. It is Chihiro's honor to serve the master. Chihiro Shigeki put on a very formal British etiquette. That's not the way to do it here. Lin Zion waved his hand, and then he was a little curious. Where did you learn it? There are books in the school library, I sometimes go to read. Lin Zion has never restricted Chihiro Shigeki's activities, but she usually likes to stay with Lin Zion, or go back to practice, and only leave when she is out of the wind. Chihiro Shigeki's words hit Lin Zion hard. He has been in Qingshan Academy for so long, and he has never been to the library. Chihiro, as a soul, has already escaped from the sea of suffering, but she still thinks of recharging herself. Shame. Shame. I feel a little slack. Don't be naughty at home, you know. Lin Zion stroked Xiaobai and put it on the ground. Xiaobai showed a disdainful look in a very human way, and walked upstairs with a cat step. Lin Zion looked helpless and left the house with a wry smile. He must go to school today, because Gongzong Liwi made an appointment today. If he dared not to go, Gongzong Liwi might make trouble again. If I convince Mayasano Maiho today, the matter of Reina will be resolved. After a day of messing around, Lin Zion did not leave directly after school, but waited for Mayasunori's message. Mayasunori had only set a time, which was today, but the specific location was not set. When Lin Zion asked her on the chat software just now, she just asked him to wait in the classroom first. Since he needed help from others, there was no way. Lin Zion waited for almost half an hour before Mayasunori sent the location. It took another 10 minutes for Lin Zion to get there. This is a coffee shop with a good environment and looks quite high-end. Lin Zion went in and took a look, and found that Mayasunori was sitting with her sister Mayasuno Miho, and he didn't know what they were talking about. Lin Zion was discovered when he approached them, because there were not many people here, and Lin Zion walked in a straight line, and his eyes were always on them. "Hello, teacher Mayasuno, can I sit here?" Although he was delayed, Lin Zion was not a petty person and acted properly. "Hurry, hurry, you're the only one missing." Mayasuri waved to Lin Zion, excited like a child. "I think she looks like an orangutan. No wonder you invited me to have coffee." My sister Mayaso Miho looked at Mayasuri opposite her with a bad face. Mayaso Miho was also a little curious. Her sister would pull her out as soon as school was over, saying that there was a very good coffee shop nearby and she wanted to invite her to try it. Mayaso Miho thought at first that her sister had changed her gender. After so many years of suffering, she finally grew up, and she was going to get out of the sea of suffering. Thinking of this, she quickly handled her work and was brought here by Mayasuri. Unexpectedly, her sister sold her out. Mayaso Miho looked at Mayasuri's silly look, shook her head helplessly, stood up and pointed to the seat next to her, and said to Lin Zion, "Please sit down, Shigeki-san." Lin Zion could also see that Mayaso Miho didn't know, she was deceived. Lin Zion sat down and looked at Gongzong Liwi. It was easy for her to trick her sister out, but it made it more difficult for him. After all, no one likes to be deceived, and Gongzong Liwi obviously didn't want to take the blame, and Gongzong Miho would not blame her sister. She could only blame herself, which would deepen her negative impression of him. Lin Zion took a deep breath and then slowly exhaled. "Mr. Gongzong Liwi, I asked Mr. Gongzong Liwi to ask you out. I didn't inform you in advance. Please forgive me." While Lin Zion was talking, Gongzong Liwi also moved to Gongzong Liwi's side and wanted to hold her hand, but was slapped away. Does Shigeki have anything to say? Although Gongzong Liwi hated Gongzong Liwi for causing trouble for her, she still had to listen. Who told her to have such a sister? "I want to ask Mr. Gongzong Liwi for a favor," Lin Zion told them about Otarina. "You want me to help you send her in?" "That's impossible," Miho Miyamoto said and took Miho Miyamoto-ri's hand to leave. But she was stopped by Miho Miyamoto-ri. "Sister, please help Reina, she is so pitiful." Miyazune only heard a little bit from Michiko Oda at first. She did not expect Reina Oda to be so miserable. "Oh, I want to help too, but I can't do anything. I'm just a small director and have no power." Miyazune Miho looked at her sister and sighed, although she also felt that Otarina was very pitiful. But she knew she couldn't help. "I think you misunderstood something, teacher Gongzong Mibu." Lin Zion's words came slowly. At this point, he was no longer in a hurry. "I have already settled the transfer quota." Gongzong Mibu stopped where he was, looking at Lin Zion with an unclear look in his eyes. It seemed that she was overthinking it. What Lin Zion said reminded her of something. Back then. "You have obviously obtained the admission quota, so what do you want me to do?" Gongzong Miho sat down again and asked seriously. "Help me act in a play." Lin Zion slowly explained all this. "Can't you just let her enter the second grade of junior high school? I can promise to help you keep an eye on Reina." "Why are you doing this?" Miyazune Miho questioned him. "You don't have to be like this. Even your sister knows it, so don't let me say it." There was a faint sneer on Lin Zion's face. "That's right. Otherwise, Reina-chan would still be bullied when she gets to school. Miyazune nodded, she had a deep understanding of this matter. Shut up, Miyazune Miho pulled Miyazune. Of course she knew this, she just thought of some bad things. Then why are you helping their family? Gongzong Mibu still refused to let Lin Ziyan go. The answer is simple. Michiko helped me when I was down and out. Lin Ziyanxing was upright, standing up straight and open-minded. Naturally, he was not afraid of her malicious questions. In a word, help or not, don't waste everyone's time. Lin Ziyan no longer wants to talk to her. If she is not in charge of the middle school and is the sister of Miyazune, Lin Ziyan will directly ask the principal to talk to her. Tell me, why would you talk nonsense to her? Sister, please help him. Reina-chan is so pitiful. Miyazune tried to persuade her sister. Gongzone Miho closed her eyes and thought of the little girl hiding behind her mother that day. Her heart was agitated. She knew that her sister could not stand seeing this the most, and she was the same. Okay, I can help you. Gongzong Mibu opened her eyes suddenly. Remember, this is not a compromise for you, this is just. She closed her eyes again and sighed. For that little girl. Lin Ziyan looked at the changes in Gongzong Mibu, and he seemed to have discovered something interesting. Of course, I'll give you another can of tea when it's done. Lin Ziyan stood up, smiled and extended a hand of friendship to Gongzong Mibu. However, she ignored Lin Ziyan and left Gongzong alone. Hey! Sister, wait for me. Gongzong quickly stood up, took Lin Ziyan's outstretched hand, shook it hard a few times. I'll leave the payment to you. Then she chased out. My Retirement Life in Neon. Author, Wu Nangkuang Song. Chapter 98. She turned back after not taking a few steps and said to Lin Ziyan, remember my beef. I got it, don't worry, go and see your sister quickly, something seems wrong with her. Lin Ziyan said with a wry smile. He was really convinced by Gongzong. After receiving Lin Ziyan's assurance, Gongzong rushed out again, scaring the waiter next to her and quickly getting out of the way. I'm sorry, my friend is in a hurry. I apologize to you on her behalf. Lin Ziyan came to the waiter and said to her. I'm fine. The waiter looked at the young man in school uniform and had a strange feeling that he looked handsome. Lin Ziyan didn't notice the waiter's eyes. He watched the two people outside walking further and further away. He was a little curious about what happened to Gongzong Mibu to make her dislike him so much. Look at others, how handsome they are. Twins, double the joy. What's the use? Didn't you see the explosion? One for me is enough. Scumbag. Lin Ziyan's mouth twitched unconsciously when he heard those people's words. Pay the bill. Lin Ziyan pointed to their table and said to the waiter with a smile. Okay, sir. The waiter blushed slightly. She had met many successful people, but Lin Ziyan gave her a strange feeling. After solving Miyazune Miho, he felt at ease, but the two sisters seemed to have stories. He knew about Miyazune, but what about Miyazune Miho's? Forget it, you will know naturally if you are destined. Lin Ziyan came out of the cafe and walked home. Xiaobai, where did you go to play? When Lin Ziyan arrived home, he found that Xiaobai was not on the first floor, so he called to the second floor at the top of the stairs, but there was no response. This is strange. In the past, he would come out as soon as you called him, and sometimes he would even run out and stick to him as soon as the door was opened. Why was he gone today? Not in the basement, not on the first floor, not on the second and third floors. It wasn't until Lin Ziyan let go of his restraints that he found it in the backyard. Lin Ziyan looked at it squatting under the cherry tree, looking at the sky with a pair of green eyes. Xiaobai, why didn't you answer me when I called you? Lin Ziyan walked to it, picked it up, and stroked its head. Meow. I want to too. But I can't. Meow. Xiaobai's cry became very shrill. He stood up from his arms and turned to look at Lin Ziyan. It suddenly jumped onto his shoulder and stretched out its claws towards Lin Ziyan. Several black nails protruded from the flesh pads, almost touching his face. Lin Ziyan didn't realize it, and the smile on his face never changed. Finally, Xiao Bai withdrew his nails, touched Lin Ziyan's face with his flesh pad, and licked his hair. "It's itchy, don't touch it." Lin Ziyan picked up Xiao Bai from his shoulders and put it in front of him. "I promised it that I would raise you." Lin Ziyan looked at it, "but you can leave if you want, I won't stop you." Meow meow meow. "You kids still want to negotiate terms with me? I haven't even settled the accounts with you for what happened last night." Lin Ziyan took Xiao Bai home, "and you soiled yourself again. You have to take a shower by yourself in the future, otherwise you can't go to bed." Meow. Woo. Protests are futile, I am the master. I played with Xiao Bai for a while, helped him prepare dinner, and then sent him upstairs after feeding him. Now it's time to prepare your own dinner. Time flies so fast, and it's Friday in the blink of an eye. For Lin Ziyan, the only advantage of the monthly exam is that there is no class this Saturday. The teacher has to change the test paper, and there is also a small advantage, that is, he can hand in the paper in advance. In the morning, the test was a comprehensive paper on Chinese, mathematics, and English, and in the afternoon, there were 2 comprehensive papers on literature and science. Because the afternoon test paper contained more content than the morning test, I didn't finish school until 6 o'clock. Lin Ziyan was afraid of scaring his classmates, so he estimated the difficulty of the test paper and handed it in with an average score. Getting high scores in the exam will do him no good at all, and may even be harmful. After all, with his status in this class, it is estimated that those proud ones will find trouble for him and attack him from other directions to gain a sense of accomplishment, instead of like now ignore him. Although he is not afraid, it is troublesome to deal with them, and he is a person who hates trouble. Unless they had something to attract his attention, Lin Ziyan wanted to ignore them. Lin Ziyan handed in the paper a full hour early. If it weren't for the separate examination of arts and science, he would have left 2 hours earlier. But he already heard whispers when he walked out of the classroom. On the podium, Ri Gongzong also had a livid face. Lin Ziyan was a little too early, so he didn't take her seriously at all. Too much. You should have a good chat with him when you have time. Lin Ziyan didn't know that she was being targeted by Gongzong Ri, but it didn't matter, she still kept the 2 kilograms of beef in his hands. In fact, if it were normal times, it wouldn't matter if Lin Ziyan stayed for a while, but tomorrow was Oda Reina's exam. He wanted to buy some good things to go home and cook for them, so naturally he had to go back early. Lin Ziyan took his phone back, and when he opened it, a series of missed calls popped up. When he looked closely, it was Oda Reina calling him. He didn't know what was going on, but it was definitely not a good thing. He hurriedly called Chihiro Shigeki out and asked her to go back first. It was exam time now. The whole school was quiet and there was no one at all. Lin Ziyan didn't have time to take a detour to the gate. He walked straight ahead and jumped over the wall. Because he walked through it last time, he was faster this time. When Lin Ziyan returned, he went directly to Oda's house. Before he saw anyone, Lin Ziyan heard a cry, and he knew it was Oda Reina's voice as soon as he heard it. When he opened the door, Lin Ziyan saw the winter melon at a glance, and Michiko Oda knelt in front of him, while Rina Oda held her mother's hand and looked directly at the winter melon. What happened? Lin Ziyan came to Udongwa and forced him back with a look. It's you again. Udongwa was frightened by him and took 2 steps back. After reacting, he wanted to move forward but did not dare. Get up and tell me if you need anything. Lin Ziyan ignored him and helped Michiko Oda up. Seeing a palm mark on her face, Lin Ziyan turned around and asked Oda Reina, "What's going on?" "He beat me." Oda Reina pointed at the winter melon and gritted her teeth. "I'm fine, I fell by myself." Michiko Oda took Lin Ziyan's hand, looked at Lin Ziyan, and shook her head. "Who told her that she couldn't pay the rent? Why did I beat her?" Udongwa immediately became angry when she saw Michiko Oda say this. How much rent do you owe? Lin Zion looked at Michiko Oda. Still short of 40,000 yen. Michiko Oda lowered her head. Take the money and get out. Lin Zion took out the money and threw it in front of him. Hee. No wonder you are dating a rich man. Udongwa picked up the money on the ground and smiled at Michiko Oda with a lewd look on her face. But before he could react, Lin Zion slapped him and he flew out. Now the rent is over, it's your business. Lin Zion shook his hands, feeling that his hands were greasy. Udongwa covered his face and got up from the ground. The face he had just beaten had begun to swell, and he couldn't even speak. If you want rent, why do you want to hit someone? Lin Zion was already merciful. If he really exerted force, the oil and winter melon would have gone cold. Pick up your money and get out. Udongwa hurriedly picked up the money scattered on the ground, rolled and crawled out. Tell me, what's going on? Lin Zion sat directly on the ground and looked at Michiko Oda. Alas, Michiko Oda sighed and knelt down on the ground. She glanced at him and then said slowly, originally. After listening to this, Lin Zion realized that he was at fault again. Originally, Oda Michiko rented this place because of the haunted house, which was several times cheaper than other places. However, when Lin Zion came, he broke the legend of the haunted house, causing the number of nearby rooms to rise. Knowing the situation of their home, Udongwa even rented it several times. Originally the income and expenses were just enough, but he did this and directly dragged the Oda family to death. No wonder when I first came here, I always thought you wanted to tell me something, and you also told me that there was a ghost to scare me. Lin Zion remembered what happened before, and he immediately understood, so you wanted to scare me away. Yes, please forgive me, Mr. Shigeki. Michiko Oda admitted awkwardly. She was about to hit Lin Zion again, but was stopped. Forget it, you are also forced by life. Lin Zion waved his hand. Please vote, I don't want to be embarrassed yet, Carrot. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My Retirement Life in Neon. Author, Wu Nangkuang Song. Chapter 99. Why didn't you tell me about this little thing? Lin Zion really didn't understand her. If he had told him before, what happened today wouldn't have happened, and Odarina would have to take the exam tomorrow. Aoni-chan, don't blame your mother. Odarina saw that something was wrong and hurried over to speak for her mother. I don't blame her. Lin Zion listened to Odarina's crying voice, and for some reason, a very irritable feeling emerged. It's rare for your mother to take a leave to stay at home with you today. Let's not talk about this for now, let's go to my place first. When he came to his place, Lin Zion didn't assign homework to Rina today, nor did he teach her other things. He turned on the TV for her to watch, and went to get some snacks for her. Rina, don't eat too many snacks, otherwise you will have a stomachache tomorrow, Lin Zion reminded her, and then took Oda Michiko to the kitchen. I'll help your mother deal with the things on her face first. Lin Zion took out a few ice cubes from the refrigerator, wrapped them in a clean towel, and handed them to Oda Michiko. Are you hiding something from me? What did you say? Oda Michiko hurriedly took the towel and put it on her face, blocking Lin Zion's sight. I don't know if you have it, but there are some things that you don't have to bear alone. Lin Zion left after he finished speaking. After being disturbed by oil winter melon, his good mood was mostly gone, and now he had to adjust Odarina's mentality first. Rina, what kind of TV do you like to watch? Lin Zion chatted with her for a while, talking about all kinds of topics, but not about learning. At this time, it was useless for Lin Zion to help her raid, so it was better to relax and change to a better state. I'll go feed Ziobai first. Lin Zion didn't want to do it today, and there were a few cans of canned fish, so he would make do for one day. When she heard that she had to feed Xiaobai, Odarina also became interested. She still remembered the previous incident, so she went with Lin Xian. "Xiaobai, come down to eat," Lin Xian shouted at the stairs, and not long after, Xiaobai ran down. But when it saw Odarina next to Lin Xian, it stopped again. Lin Xian knew that Xiaobai didn't like to see people, so it usually stayed in the bedroom on the second floor when there were outsiders. "We are one family, don't be afraid," Lin Xian waved to Xiaobai, and Xiaobai jumped down the stairs and climbed on him. Lin Xian and Odarina were watching Xiaobai eat, while Oda Michiko was cooking in the kitchen. 1 or 2 meals would be enough, there was no need for her to do it herself. After dinner, Lin Xian didn't ask Oda Michiko to do anything, but asked her to put down her things and chat with Odarina. The three of them were sitting in the living room, and there was a comedy variety show on TV. At first, only Lin Xian made Odarina laugh, but later, Oda Michiko was also infected by the two and laughed along. Oda Michiko looked at Lin Xian and Odarina. It seemed that she hadn't seen her daughter laugh so happily for a long time, and she didn't even know when she laughed. Lin Xian made a scene with them for a while and then let them go back. After all, Reina had an exam tomorrow. But Reina Oda said she wanted to take a bath, and Lin Xian didn't care. He asked Michiko Oda to get clothes. The two of them were in the bathroom, while Lin Xian took Xiaobai out for a walk. After Chihiro Shigeki made a scene nearby, the security in the area improved a lot. It's really ironic. Lin Xian wandered around for a while, and thought it was about time, so he went back, but the lights in his house were still on. After Lin Xian went in, he shouted, "I'm back." And the Oda mother and daughter came out not long after. It has to be said that Michiko Oda is more attractive after taking a bath than usual. A phrase like "a face like peach blossoms and skin like cream" is the most appropriate. "Shigeki-kun," Michiko Oda asked. "Oh," Lin Xian was fine. "Aoni-chan, is mom beautiful or am I beautiful?" Reina Oda walked out from behind Michiko Oda and ran to Lin Xian and asked. "Haha. They are all beautiful." "This answer won't work, tell me quickly." Odarina was obviously not satisfied with Lin Xian's answer, and pulled his hand and shook it. "Our Rina is the most beautiful." Lin Xian squatted down, touched Rina's hair, and then looked at Oda Michiko. He found that she was looking at the two of them and smiling, and he smiled back. After Oda and her daughter went back, Lin Xian lay on the sofa by himself. Thinking of what happened just now, he checked the house transfer in Neon on the internet. It would be a bit troublesome to do it by himself, so it would be more convenient to leave it to professionals. At this time, he thought of Haraguchi Shigeru, but after thinking about it, he decided to forget it. Lin Xian didn't want to contact her, and she didn't do these things now, so he just went to find a real estate agent. Lin Xian took his clothes and was about to take a shower. His keen five senses discovered something, and a cry for help came from the Oda family. Lin Xian's figure disappeared almost instantly, and he was out in less than 2 seconds. He jumped over the wall directly, saw that the door of the Oda family was not closed, and rushed in immediately. "You are mine. Go away, go away. Let go of mom. Get lost. Reina, go. Ha ha ha." It was still that idiot, pressing Michiko Oda under him, reaching out to pull her clothes, while Reina Oda fell to the ground holding her stomach. "Ha!" Lin Xian shouted, quickly stepped over, kicked him away, and helped Reina Oda up from the ground. "Mom, save mom!" Oda Reina was a little confused, and she vaguely saw Lin Xian. "It's okay, I'm here." Lin Xian picked up Oda Reina and placed her next to Oda Michiko. He turned to look at Udongwa, who smelled of alcohol and was swearing. This time he was really angry. I can't imagine what would have happened if he had been too slow. If he hadn't wanted to kill someone in front of an acquaintance, the kick just now would have been enough to kill him. "It's you again, it's none of your business, you've been trying to stop me all day long." It was true that he was drunk and cowardly, so he, a coward, dared to face Lin Zian directly. Lin Zian smiled sarcastically and walked towards him. With every step he took, the pressure on Lin Zian became stronger. It was like winter was approaching. Before he even got in front of the winter melon, he was already swaying like a sieve. "How dare you kill me?" He was frightened by this and was mostly awake from the wine, but his brain was still useless, so he had to shout to be brave. Sometimes death is the only way to escape. "Do you think you can get relief?" After Lin Zian said this, he pinched the back of its neck, knocked it unconscious, and turned back to Michiko Oda. "I'm going to take care of the garbage." Then he carried it out with one hand. Michiko Oda didn't know how Lin Zian disposed of the garbage, but she was really frightened. If Lin Zian came a little later. "That's right. Reina." Oda Michiko came out of her trance, quickly hugged Oda Reina and called her name. "Reina, wake up quickly." "Okay, she's fine, she just fainted." Oda Yoshitomo looked up in panic, and it turned out that Lin Zian, who had just gone out, was back. He put down his worries and looked down at Oda Reina. "Is Reina okay? Is she okay?" "Okay, it's okay, I'm here, don't be afraid." As soon as Lin Zian put his hand on Michiko Oda's shoulder, she heard an exclamation from her and pushed his hand away like a reflex. "You're not going crazy?" Lin Zian shouted, "Wake up." Michiko Oda was shocked into a daze. Because Lin Zian was targeting Michiko Oda, Rina Oda did not react at all. "Calm down, Linae is still here." Lin Zian put his hands directly on her shoulders. Oda Michiko, who was woken up by Lin Zian, fell into Lin Zian's arms as if her energy had been drained. Lin Zian didn't dare to move when he heard the crying in his arms, so he had to let her cry. "Okay, you're fine, and so is Linae. She was just frightened and fainted." Lin Zian comforted her as the crying in her arms became smaller and smaller. Oda Michiko slowly got up from his arms and looked at Lin Zian with a pair of red eyes. "Are you still hiding it from me now? Lin Zian just learned something from you, Dongwa. I resigned 2 days ago." Michiko Oda looked back at Oda Rina. After Michiko Oda said it, she felt like she was liberated, and the stone in her heart was relieved. "I know." Lin Zian looked at her and revealed the relationship between you, Dongwa, and others. My Retirement Life in Neon. Author, Wu Nangkuang Song. Chapter 100. Lin Zian told Michiko Oda what he knew. It was that Yudongwa and the bakery manager and the scout that day set a trap together to trap her, but she avoided it, so they fired her and raised the rent, trying to overwhelm her with pressure, and then lobby her again. Unfortunately, Lin Zian's appearance made them empty-handed. After listening to Lin Zian's words, Michiko Oda's heart, which had just been relieved, was lifted up again, because she had always been cautious and unexpectedly avoided so many traps. "But why did the convenience store fire me?" "You didn't sign a contract, just find someone and give you some benefits to fire you." "Don't worry, I will deal with it." Lin Zian comforted her. "What are your plans?" Michiko Oda thought for a while and shook her head. "How about this? I'll ask you to be a housekeeper." Lin Zian thought for a while and made a suggestion. "Food and accommodation are provided, and the salary is calculated separately." After experiencing all these things, Michiko Oda was a little confused. "You have no right to refuse. The matter of Reina is not over yet." Lin Zian reminded her kindly, "and you have chopped me once." "I know." Hearing this, Oda Michiko nodded as if she had accepted her fate and agreed to Lin Zian's suggestion. "Take Reina to my place first." "Here." Lin Zian glanced at Oda Reina on the ground. "It's not safe." Oda Michiko would definitely not let Lin Zian do it if she was there. She picked up Oda Reina herself and followed him. Lin Zian took them upstairs, to the same room as last time. He took a set of quilts from the cabinet for them. "Let me see Reina first." Lin Zian looked at Oda Michiko, but his hand was on Oda Reina's little hand. Oda Reina was indeed fine, but she was thin to begin with, and was punched in the stomach. In addition, she was too panicked, so it was not surprising that she fainted. Lin Ziyan is now struggling whether to wake her up or not. Waking her up has its pros and cons, but not waking her up is also a headache for him. However, Lin Ziyan still decided to wake her up. He would have to face it sooner or later. Oda Michiko saw Lin Ziyan put his hand on his daughter's hand, but his brows were furrowed, which made her panic, and she pinched her hands tightly together. But Oda Reina, who was still unconscious just now, suddenly said something. "Ani-I-chan, save mom." After Oda Reina finished speaking, she opened her eyes and saw Lin Ziyan next to her. Although he was just sitting casually, his back was straight and his body was like a deep pool and a mountain. A steady demeanor suppressed her anxiety. She knew that as long as she saw him, she would not be afraid of anything. "It's okay, I've solved it, and your mother is okay too." Lin Ziyan moved aside, revealing Michiko Oda behind him, and said to her with a smile, "How is it, does your stomach still hurt?" Before Rina Oda could answer, Michiko Oda rushed forward, supported Rina, and asked carefully, "Mom is okay, don't be afraid." Lin Ziyan saw the scene and was about to withdraw and give this place to the tragic mother and daughter, but his hand was caught by Rina Oda. "It hurts." Rina Oda frowned, feeling like Zizi holding her heart. "Where does it hurt?" Lin Ziyan had to sit down again. "Here." Rina Oda dragged Lin Ziyan's hand, lifted up her pajamas, and put her hand on her lower abdomen. Originally, Lin Ziyan didn't feel anything, but when he saw Michiko Oda, he reacted and quickly pulled his hand away. "Rina Oda, you are plotting against me. I have arranged Michiko's work, you don't have to do this." Lin Ziyan was in a bad mood, and glanced at Oda Reina, who was half lying on the bed. Oda Reina panicked when she saw Lin Ziyan's indifferent eyes, avoiding his sight and not daring to look at him. "Okay, Michiko, you take her to take a shower, and after the shower, just take a hot towel to help her apply the painful area." Lin Ziyan went out after saying that, without giving them any chance to stay. Lin Ziyan went out without even taking Ziobai, and ran towards the nearby mountains as soon as he went out. He was freed and shuttled through the streets like the wind, and even the surveillance cameras couldn't capture him. He needed to vent now. When she heard the door close, Michiko Oda looked at Rina Oda. "Are you hiding something from me?" "No. That would be the best." Michiko Oda shook her head helplessly. "Let's go, take a bath first." The two of them were lying in the bathtub. Michiko Oda told Rina Oda what happened just now, and also told her about the dirty things between Udongwa and those people. She just wanted to remind Rina Oda that no man was a good person. What about the work that Ani-I-chan arranged for mom? Rina Oda's focus was obviously not there. Michiko Oda also saw that her daughter didn't listen to her at all. "Help him manage here, cook and do housework tomorrow." "How much is the salary?" "Haven't said it yet, but he said that food and accommodation are provided." Michiko Oda looked at her daughter. "Then will we live here in the future? Are you satisfied?" "I just don't want mom to be so hard." Rina Oda pulled her hand and acted coquettishly. "Don't do this again. He will look down on us." Michiko Oda squeezed her hand. Knowing her daughter's thoughts, she couldn't say anything to blame her. "No, Ani-I-chan is a very nice person. Didn't I just say that no one would treat you well for no reason?" In Michiko Oda's eyes, Rina Oda was still too naive. Mom doesn't know." "Know what?" Rina Oda repeated the reason Lin Ziyan had told her before. "Do you believe him?" Michiko Oda obviously didn't believe Lin Ziyan's words. "A breakfast? Impossible." "Why not?" "We have nothing to be cheated of." Rina Oda didn't care, which made Michiko Oda very angry. "You will know if what I said is right when you suffer in the future." Because they had washed once, the mother and daughter of Oda quickly washed and returned to the house this time. Michiko Oda just helped Rina Oda dry her hair when she heard the sound of the door opening downstairs. "You go to bed first, I'll go downstairs to see. Although she knew that it was Lin Ziyan who came back, she was still a little worried. As soon as Michiko Oda walked out of the door, she was scared by a cat running out of Lin Ziyan's room. She knew it was Lin Ziyan's pet. Just after going down the stairs, I looked down from the gap and saw a person sitting on the sofa. A sense of tyranny emanated from that person. The person seemed to have noticed the movement and looked at the stairs. Why are you still not asleep? Reina has an exam tomorrow. Oda Michiko looked into that person's eyes, and the feeling just now disappeared. Instead, she felt a very stable feeling. I heard the door open and came down to see Oda Michiko felt that she was a little neurotic. Lin Ziyan restrained his momentum and returned to his usual appearance. Don't worry, it's safe here. Lin Ziyan understood her behavior. When he was being chased, he was more sensitive than her. Yeah. I'm tired. Let's rest early. I'll be quiet when I take a shower later. Lin Ziyan put Xiaobai down in his arms and went to the bathroom. Watching Lin Ziyan disappear around the corner, Oda Michiko stood there, not knowing what she was thinking. Lin Ziyan lay on the bed. Obviously, as long as tomorrow passed, everything would be fine. Why is there so much trouble? Could it be? While he was thinking, the door suddenly opened a crack and a person came in. Why is Reina here? Lin Ziyan asked, looking at Oda Reina who was hugging a pillow. I can't sleep. Seeing that she had been exposed, Oda Reina trotted to Lin Ziyan's bed. I'm scared. I have an exam tomorrow. Stop making trouble. Lin Ziyan wanted to sleep now. Can I sleep here? If you sleep here, you will see me cut into pieces when you wake up tomorrow. Lin Ziyan was a little speechless. Is he so naughty? Oh. That's right. Lin Ziyan opened the drawer of the bedside table, grabbed Xiaobai out of it, and threw it to Oda Reina. You don't have to be afraid if you put Xiaobai in the room. Don't worry, Xiaobai is evil repelling, and nothing can escape its eyes. Meow. Xiaobai jumped from Oda Reina to his nest, staring at Lin Ziyan with two green eyes. Forget it, I'll do it myself. Lin Ziyan laughed dryly and slowly pushed the drawer back. Death Review Method.